Say It Louder is brought to you by Bally Live, the ultimate destination for live sports, anytime, anywhere. Watch the action unfold and win rewards along the way. Download the free Bally Live app and start winning today.
All right, welcome back. Northwestern head football coach Pat Fitzgerald has been suspended for 2 weeks after the results of a hazing investigation came out. The incidents occurred in the Northwestern locker room and possibly started at training camp that took place in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Guys, from what you have seen, whether it's in your time playing college sports or playing professional sports or covering those sports, how prevalent is hazing and how much have you seen this?
I think hazing is prevalent, but I don't think it's as negative as what people tend to think. We've evolved as a society, and it's been a positive. And so I think a lot of the hazing scenarios where it really crossed the line, those have disappeared by and large. Now, I think that there are some more ritualistic hazing processes that people go through where, if you're a freshman, you might be carrying somebody's pads, or you might have to run out and, get snacks for the position meeting room. Things of that nature, I think, is encouraged. I know when you get into the NFL, they'll have a rookie talent show that's hazing. They don't give you the option. You have to participate. In the first team meeting, they'll make you come up, say what pick you were and how much your signing bonus was. I don't think anybody really wants to stand in the front of the room and do that when they've proven nothing, but it's something that they make you do. And so as I look at this, it was a 2-week suspension in the summer. He's not missing any games for this scenario here. And the findings couldn't directly point to a specific coach or player that was a part of this. It seems like it was just a thing that had been done. Pat Fitzgerald was a guy who played at Northwestern. He became the head coach there at a pretty young age. It could seem to me that the locker room may be a little bit more relaxed because he identifies with those guys. And somebody might have taken exception to something that happened, rightfully so, and you get to this point. I think when we think of hazing, we think of all the big negative things, but I will say that hazing happens in locker rooms, and not all of it's bad, and as a matter of fact, some of it's good for team building and community.
I think there's levels to this, and to add to what JP was saying, in the report it stated that they interviewed dozens of people, both players and coaches, so a full investigation. I think no matter what place you're at in your career, whether it's high school, college, or the pros, that first year you just want to fit in. Mm-hmm. You want to be the yes person. They tell you to go get the bags. Yes. They tell you got to sing happy birthday. Okay, I'll do it, because you want to fit in. You want to feel a part of the group. You want to make a good first impression. You don't want to be the problem child, so to speak. And so maybe sometimes you were hazed and you didn't realize it just because you were going with the flow. And it all depends on the victim in this case,
sure,
because what may be considered hazing to you is not considered hazing
right
to me. What I would not even think to report, you run right to the AD, and I think it's a case-by-case basis. And so it's prevalent. Like you said, it's happening everywhere. But why it kind of goes up and down in the news cycle is because it's not always reported. And of course, you never want anyone to get hurt. And,
right,
and why should we label having to sing happy birthday as I want a more
there's that's like a ritual almost,
that's
and I think that's kind of the fine line. It was amazing my rookie year when I was with the Timberwolves. The Richie Incognito situation had just happened in the NFL. So everything started changing very rapidly, and the NBA banned everything. They had the little kid backpacks, mm-hmm, where you had to carry your stuff in, and those were out of there. I had I guess I would call it ritual of I had to bring trading cards on every flight so that the veteran guys could play cards. Is that really hazing? No. I mean, it's a responsibility.
Right.
We had the talent show. I had to sing. It was remixed to Ignition in a bar. Just so random. But that, to me, wasn't a negative hazing. It was just kind of a ritual, I would say. And that's where, when you start seeing stuff like that was happening in New Mexico State, mm-hmm, that is hazing. Kids are being hurt, whether it's mentally, physically.
Right.
Those things can't happen. But when it's a ritual, I think those things are good for team building.
And I'm curious from an administrative standpoint where the line is, because if you do have an athlete that comes to you with a concern about hazing, regardless of how serious you may believe it is as an administrator, I think you have to take all of them seriously. And so I'm curious what the behind the scenes of that looks like. Obviously, this was a long investigation. They found what they found. There were no players suspended. The coach has to sit out for a couple weeks during the summer. So I'm speculating when I say it must not have been that bad, but it's just interesting now where we're at in society for very good reasons that we're tolerating less. But it feels like a locker room is still one of those places where you kind of go along with certain things, even if it doesn't feel the best at times.